After learning the ways to calculate GDP, we will now determine the equilibrium level of output in the goods market. We start from the simplest model where there is only one market for goods and services and one variable to determine, which is the level of production or output, then one equilibrium condition, and that is supply of Y must be equal to demand for Y. In this model, we further assume that the economy is closed, meaning no goods are exported or imported. Another, the price of Y is fixed, or it is equal to 1. So, P times Y, that's the nominal GDP, right? So, for the time being, nominal GDP or the supply of Y or aggregate output is equal to 1 times Y, which is equal to Y. What does this assumption mean? It suggests that output is determined by demand. At the fixed price of 1, firms produce any amount of Y needed to satisfy demand. What about the demand for Y? Since we assumed a closed economy model, then the demand for Y is equal to the demand of the consumers and the demand of the businesses or firms and the demand of the government. And we can denote demand as Z. So we have an identity equation as Z is equal to C, or consumption plus investment plus government spending, where demand is equal to C plus I plus G. Consumption is a function of disposable income, or it is an income after taxes, or income minus tax, that is called disposable income. Or in linear form, C is equal to C sub O plus C sub 1 times the quantity of Y minus T, or the disposable income, where C sub O in the equation is the autonomous consumption, while C sub 1 is the induced consumption, or consumption that is dependent on disposable income, and it is also called as the marginal propensity to consume. Furthermore, taxes, government spending, and investment are assumed to be exogenous, or meaning they are derived outside the model. Again, this is the consumption function, which shows the positive relationship between consumption and disposable income. We can infer from the equation that the parameters, the C sub O, which is the autonomous spending or autonomous consumption, and C sub 1, the induced consumption, are positive. The consumption function shows that as disposable income increases, the consumption expenditure of the household will also increase. And even if the disposable income is zero, still the consumption is positive, which is equal to the value of C sub O. That's why it is called autonomous consumption. So it is a consumption that is not dependent on income or disposable income. Now we will solve the equilibrium in the goods market. There are three exogenous variables under this model: the taxes, investment, and government spending. And there is only one endogenous variable, which is Y, or income. When we say endogenous variable, it is a variable that is derived within the model. Equilibrium happens if Y is equal to Z. Y stands for the supply side of the goods market, and Z stands for the demand side of the goods market. So later, we'll have an example on how to solve the equilibrium in the goods market. What can move this economy away from an equilibrium? So there are two instances or situations where the economy will move away from the equilibrium point. First is if there is shift in policy, for example, shift in tax or a shift in government spending. Another, if there is shocks or let's say change in consumers or firms' confidence, which changes also or shifts the investment or autonomous consumption. Equilibrium in the goods market. The equilibrium level of Y is the level that clears the market, or the level that makes supply equal to demand. Using the market clearing condition that Y must be equal to Z, we can solve for the level of Y that clears the market, or the equilibrium level of Y. So Y is equal to Z is our starting point. Then substitute the value or the equation for Z, which is equal to C plus I plus G. Then also the consumption function or C equation is given, so we can substitute that equation for C. So the whole equation now will look like the third line of the equation natin. And we do some distribution of C sub 1 to the quantity of Y minus T. Then it is now equal to the fifth line. So the fifth line of the equation is the result after we distribute C sub 1 doon sa naka-bracket na Y minus T. And the next line, yung ginawa natin ay kinumbay natin yung similar terms. So, nilipat natin yung C sub 1 times Y doon to the left side. Kasi may Y sa left side. And again, when we transfer the term to the left or to the right, mag-change yung sign niya. And if we will do some manipulation of the equation, then we can now solve for Y or the equilibrium level of Y. And we will denote that as Y asterisk. That means that is the equilibrium level of Y. So Y asterisk is equal to 1 over 1 minus C sub 1 times the quantity of the autonomous spending. Again, the level of Y that clears the market is Y asterisk is equal to 1 over 1 minus C sub 1 times the quantity of the autonomous spending, where 1 over 1 minus C sub 1 is called the Keynesian multiplier, and its value is greater than 1. Multiplier is the amount by which equilibrium output or Y changes when autonomous spending increased by 1 unit. The multiplier suggests that output changes when autonomous spending changes, and that the change in output can be larger than the change in autonomous spending. Later, we will have example on this term. The equilibrium output level will change if there is a shift in policy or a shift in confidence. It's either the equilibrium Y will increase or decrease depending on the direction of the change or the shift in policy or the shift in confidence. Suppose we have the following information of the economy. Suppose the consumption function is given by C is equal to 50 plus 0.y. In this equation, 50 is the so-called autonomous consumption or the C sub O, and 0.8 is the value of C sub 1 or the marginal propensity to consume. The question is, what is the equilibrium level of output of the economy, or y asterisk. And what is the value of the multiplier? By how much does a 10 pesos increase in autonomous spending? Let's say the change in autonomous spending or autonomous consumption is 10. Raise the equilibrium level of income, holding the other variables constant. And additional information natin, we have investment is equal to 20, government spending is 30, and tax is 20. The first question is, what is the equilibrium level of output of the economy? So again, we will start from the market clearing condition, which is y is equal to z, and substitute z by c plus I plus g. So after we substitute the values or the equations for c, I, and g, then arrange similar terms. So ilagay natin yung 0.8y to the left side. So magiging negative 0.8y. So on the left side, sa third line, on the third line, we have the equation y minus 0.8y equals 84. And factor out the left-hand side of the third line na equation. So, magiging 1 minus 0.8y siya. So, equilibrium y is equal to 420. I hope you follow the discussion. The next question is, what is the value of the multiplier? A while ago, we were able to derive the formula for multiplier, and we will denote multiplier as alpha. Again, multiplier is equal to 1 over 1 minus c sub 1. In our example, the value of c sub 1 or MPC or marginal propensity to consume is 0.8. So we will use that value to replace c sub 1. So we derive a multiplier of 5. This means that equilibrium output will increase by 5 units if autonomous spending increases by 1 unit. Similarly, a 10 unit increase in autonomous spending will increase the equilibrium output by 50 units. So, yan yung ibig sabihin ng multiplier. Or, if autonomous spending increases by 5 units, the equilibrium output will increase also by 25 units. Next question. By how much does a 10 pesos increase in autonomous spending raise the equilibrium level of income or y asterisk? So, ibig sabihin sa question na to, autonomous consumption increases by 10. So from the consumption equation, 50 plus 10, so the new consumption equation is now C is equal to 60 plus 0.8y. So tumaas yung autonomous consumption, meaning there is a shift in consumers' confidence. So, solving for y asterisk, the same process kanina. So, again, instead of 50 yung autonomous consumption natin, magiging 60 na siya. So, y, substituting all the values in the market clearing equation, so magiging y is equal to 60 plus 0.8 times the quantity of y minus 20 plus 20 na investment plus 30 na government spending. So, autonomous consumption in this question is equal to 94. So, as C sub O increases by 10, the new equilibrium level of output is now 470. Meaning, the equilibrium level of output increased by how much? increased by 50 units. From 420 kanina, ngayon nagiging 470. So the difference or yung itinaas niya ay 50 units. Note that as autonomous spending increases by 10, the equilibrium Y increases by 50. This is because of the multiplier effect. Take note that when we tried to calculate the value of the multiplier a while ago, we were able to derive a value of 5. Since autonomous spending increases by 10, equilibrium Y increases by a multiple of 5 with the increase in autonomous spending. I hope na gets yung intuition of the multiplier effect.